What's up, everybody? Scott here. Now, if you ask any hypnotherapist or a coach about the time they gave away something for free, whether it was a free session, a program, or a package, they'll pretty much all come back and give you at least one horror story of what happened to them when they gave away their therapy and coaching for free. Now, I know for a lot of newly trained hypnotherapists and coaches, they are instructed to give away pro bono, but also free sessions, which is fine because it's part of their certification. I do, however, believe it becomes a problem when they start wasting valuable time and get caught in that place of saying, I just want to keep giving away free sessions till I'm better at my craft, or it starts to delay the inevitable, with the inevitable being that you obviously want to start to charge for your sessions, for your services, and start making money as quickly as possible as a therapist or a coach. And I also really believe that diving into the deep end and starting to charge for your clients pretty much immediately helps you mature as a therapist or a coach. And I believe all those skills and strategies that you've learned over several certifications tend to come out at the right time. You can rely on those skills to come out because, one, there's some important pressure on you to make sure that the therapy or coaching that you're giving actually works, but there's also some skin in the game for your clients as well because they're physically motivated to make sure it works as well, because it's not just something for free where if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. They've actually put some money in the game because they're motivated to actually quit smoking or overcome anxiety or something like that. So my rule of thumb as a hypnotherapist, but also my coaching company today, is really to never give anything away for free, except maybe something like this informative video or a free webinar or something like that, but definitely not a free session or free package or something like this. I will admit, however, back in the day, the first and last time that I gave away something for free, which unfortunately was a free stop smoking session, I gave it away and boy, did I pay for it. So if you were to ask what is my number one horror story about giving away a free stop smoking session or therapy in general, this would be my story. So guys, I want to talk you through this, show you exactly what happened to me and why I stopped giving away free stop smoking session or even therapy session in general. And hopefully by the end of this video, you can maybe see your circumstances in this video as well. And it'll make you rethink about spending far too long giving away your valuable sessions for free. So here we go. So back in the early 2000s, when business was doing really, really well, I had positioned myself as the expert helping lawyers quit smoking. I did receive an email from the way the email is presented, someone in a lot of pain and really desperate to quit smoking. Now, I'm not going to use this lady's real name. For the sake of this video, let's just call her Jane. So I received an email from Jane, and generally outside of the lawyer niche and helping people quit smoking, I would never really conform to those emails. I wouldn't really read them, and I definitely wouldn't accept them as clients. However, I did read this email, and because things were doing so well, money was coming in, my clients were extremely happy, I was really working towards something great in my business. I did have a little bit of free time, so I had read this email, and Jane basically had said in this email how desperate she was to quit smoking, how she was struggling health-wise, but the biggest thing of all was she definitely couldn't afford my services. She actually heard great things. She'd actually heard from other people how great my services were, but she couldn't afford anything. She was a single mother with 3 or 4 kids. She wasn't working at the time, but her health and a lot of her life was being affected by being a smoker. And she was spending all the money that she was earning, which was basically just from the government, on cigarettes. And she knew that she wanted to quit, but not only couldn't she afford my services, she really didn't want to go to another hypnotherapist or a coach because she was really worried it wasn't going to help her or wasn't actually going to work for her. So I read through the email a couple of times and I did start to feel bad for her because I really wanted to help people. I loved working with clients. And yeah, sure, it wasn't all about money, but I always had to make sure that I was juggling the business well as well. So it was the first and last time that I replied to Jane in the email. I said, look, no problems, come along. I'm not going to charge you for the sessions. And this was my first mistake. It wasn't just accepting Jane at face value and not charging for her sessions, but I didn't do a strategy call with her because I didn't find out any more information about her. And I definitely didn't give her any rules or boundaries of what to expect from a free session compared to work with me for being paid. So all I did was pretty much respond to the email and say, no worries, Jane, come along. I've got a session tomorrow. All you need to do is come in and see me. This was a time when I was physically seeing clients face to face. Come in and see me when you get to reception, sign in at reception. I'll be with you and we can go through the process of making you a non-smoker. Do you have any questions for me? So I sent that email, got an email, pretty much a response back from the email pretty much straight away. And Jane was really, really excited. She went ahead and thanked me a lot. She seemed really, really nice and genuine. And I felt really good about it. So the next day came when Jane was supposed to show up. I believe it was one of my first sessions for the day. So it would have been about 9 a.m. and I'm in my office waiting for Jane. 9 a.m. came along and no Jane. She didn't show up. I checked my emails and there was no response from Jane, not telling me she was going to be running late. 9:15 came, no Jane. 9:30 came, no Jane. My next session was about 11 o'clock. So although I wasn't running out of time, I started to feel a little bit bad about this. I started to think, okay, what have I done wrong? I've gone ahead and I've done something nice with this lady. Where is this? And I started to have that conversation in my head that maybe I've gone ahead and done the right thing. About 9:45, so 45 minutes later, Jane turned up at the office. And this was in that 45 minutes, we could have been done by then. So Jane came through. I gave her the benefit of the doubt. I didn't ask her why she was late. I just wanted to get on with the session and get on with my day. And Jane come in and she was in a really, really bad mood. She was very rude, unfortunately, to my receptionist. She signed in and I came out. I welcomed Jane, asked if she wanted a tea or a coffee or a water. She said no. So I pulled her into my office. Well, pull's probably the wrong word. I asked her to come into my office, have a seat, and we went into the normal process of doing a stop smoking session. So I had a look through her intake form, made sure everything was good. And Jane pretty much looked at me and said, hang on, Scott, before we start, I have a few questions. And again, this is where things went really, really bad. Not only was Jane 45 minutes late, but now she was holding up the session we were supposed to be doing inside that 45 minutes and asking questions that I asked her to ask me on the email. But again, I'll take it as my responsibility, my mistake, because I didn't do a strategy call with her. And we spent about 30 minutes going through all the same questions she's probably asked other therapists and coaches before. Will this work for me? Is there a guarantee? This was a big one. And remember this because it's something that happened a little bit later after I worked with Jane that really bit me in the backside. Also, what happens if I get caught in hypnosis? Is there going to be any side effects to quitting smoking? Just the general objections normal people would have. And these are the things that I would normally talk about to my clients over the strategy call, so I wouldn't have to deal with this when we're supposed to be doing the session. Answered all of Jane's questions. She finally admitted everything was okay. I went through the normal process, and roughly about 45 minutes to an hour later, I'm getting really, really close to my second session for the day. Jane came out of hypnosis. I did all the tasking. I did everything I needed to do. And Jane was in really great spirits. I tested her, made sure she wasn't going to quit, gave her the right scenarios and circumstances. If she does quit, you know, what will happen with this X, Y, and Z. Did all the normal hypnotherapy things I'd been doing with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clients before her, and everything was well. Jane thanked me. She was in a really great mood at the end. She felt better. I could see there was some sort of transformation, and I let Jane get on with her day. I went on about my day as per normal, and Jane had obviously gone away, and by now she'd been a quit smoker. And it wasn't until Tuesday that everything I'd done on the Monday really started to bite me in the backside. So the first thing I did on Tuesday morning was I received an urgent email. It literally said urgent in the title of the email. And here it was from Jane, and she was irate. She had written a massive novel of an email telling me all the things I did wrong, all the things and how many cigarettes she was still smoking. It didn't work for her. Why I wasted her time. I'm not really good at what I do. I shouldn't have the reputation I had. How I'm a fraud. How I'm this and hypnosis doesn't work. And how she went home and she was more stressed out about the drive home because her kids had been driving her insane. When she got home, she had more cigarettes and she had to go to the shops and borrow money off people to go buy cigarettes. And this long novel of an email was basically telling me how it didn't work for her, how what I'd done with her was not only did it work, but how I had wasted her time. That wasn't even the most interesting part of the email. If you remember before I talked about the guarantee, at the bottom of the email, this is when Jane really showed me what her attitude was like. The bottom of the email, it said, Scott, I'm requesting a refund. Now get that into your head, guys. Here I have somebody, I've given away something for free, requesting a refund. Jane knew how much I was charging my lawyers. She asked for an immediate refund of $1,500 plus an additional $1,500 for wasting her time. Here I have somebody, I've given away something for free, and they're requesting back, knowing they haven't paid an absolute cent, $3,000. Not only were they late, were they rude? They didn't follow my rules. They didn't follow basically anything I said. Now I have someone asking for a refund for them not putting any skin in the game. So I had to reply back to that email as nice as I could. And from there, Jane obviously called the office. And the same thing, she talked about being irate on the email. She went absolutely crazy at me on the phone. She said she was going to talk to lawyers. She was going to go speak to people that she knew that she was connected with to get that money from me. She said she was going to turn up at the end of the day to my office with the police demanding that $3,000. So obviously I had to take action of this. Lucky enough, I did have lawyers that I was working with, that was just happened to be great on my side. I spoke to them about this. They actually called Jane and talked her through what this was all about. Lucky enough, they worked on my behalf and we sorted all the situation out. But still, a couple of days later, I was still receiving emails from Jane demanding $3,000. Then she would start telling me that if I didn't pay her that $3,000, she was going to make it $4,000 the following, $5,000. I think it got up to about $6,000 or $7,000 that she said I had to refund her because I wasted her time and the stop smoking session didn't work. So there was a lot of issues around this. And guys, I cannot stress the importance of it. This took me a long time to overcome. This took me a lot of issues. This caused a lot of problems. She told a lot of people about me that were in just the local area. She also went onto my website at the time where we allowed people to leave reviews. She wrote a very negative review. It took me a long time to clean the slate with her. I didn't physically clean it with her as far as she just wouldn't listen to what I'd say. I even told her, look, come in and see me. I'm happy to work again for free. Another stupid mistake with me, from me, I should say, but she wouldn't take it. Okay, so here I am from one very nice deed, months and months of hard work after working with this lady, wanting $6,000 to $7,000 in refunds, an absolute nightmare, chaos, having to bring lawyers and stuff into it. And still to this day, I'm sure Jane still is chastising me somewhere, but it really made me understand the value and what happens when we don't charge our clients. Sure, it was a very valuable lesson. I wish I hadn't had to go through it because it was quite terrible. I'm not going to go into all the specifics of what happened, but it got really, really ugly for a while. But it made me realize that it's not worth my time, but it's also not worth the time of your clients, guys. If your clients aren't physically motivated or have any skin in the game to want to quit smoking or overcome anxiety or lose weight or anything like this, the result of the therapy session is going to be quite low. It's going to be minimal. We are in a type of therapy where it's an exchange of energy, if you want to call it. It's an exchange of value. It's an exchange that, okay, I'm going to charge you $1,500 to quit smoking. That's my skin in the game. That's my guarantee that I'm going to help you. That's why I'm charging you so much money. But I also need it in return for you. So it was my biggest mistake. Not that I didn't want to help this lady, but it was my biggest mistakes that I didn't apply to my own rule of thumb, that I didn't do a strategy call with this person. And unfortunately, what I should have done in retrospect was ignore the email or email Jane back and tell her to go find somebody else. I don't have the time or I don't physically work for free. These were my mistakes, but it's a valuable lesson I still take into my coaching business today. And it's something I teach all my students to do as well. I said something really important happens when you mature as a therapist or a coach and start charging for your session straight away. All those skills, everything that you've learned, the strategies, the insights, the techniques, and all of the things that you've learned through several certifications tend to come out at the right time. And I hear a lot of therapists and coaches that get worried, like, I won't know what to do when that client's sitting in front of me. What if I forget everything? Well, one surefire way is to not forget, is to start charging for your clients altogether and start charging them immediately, to dive in the deep end. I know how much therapists and coaches actually spend on their certifications to become certified. The most important thing for any business is to start bringing cash and revenue into the business, because this is the lifeblood for you to survive as a therapist or a coach in business. But if you get caught in that place of, I want to give away enough free sessions to harness my skills and to practice, there is no better life lesson or practice than charging for your clients, because then you both have an equal exchange going into the session. And you'll find that the clients that agree to pay for you, to pay for your sessions, are better clients than people want it for free. Like Jane was. She was late. She was rude. She questioned everything I said. Then she came back after the session, said it didn't work, and caused an absolute nightmare for my business and for my receptionist, that my receptionist had to see this lady going irate several times in the office, threatening to call police and lawyers and all this sort of thing. So all of that time spent trying to clean my name and from doing the right thing initially took a lot of time and energy. And it really broke my heart that someone could actually go ahead and do this and treat me like this. However, I took responsibility for it. It was a great lesson. It's taught me a lot about business and a lot about people as well. So hopefully you don't have a horror story like I have. Hopefully from listening to this story, you can see possibly, remember what I said, it's not the matter of fact of when it'll happen to, if it will happen to you, it's a matter of fact of when it'll happen to you. I see no value, unless as part of your certification you have to, I see no value in giving away therapy for free, coaching for free, even in exchange for testimonials. I see that as being a very negative place to start as a therapist or a coach. Guys, have some confidence in what you do. You know you have a skill that is valuable enough to transform somebody's life, but also think about the business side as well. You have to survive. As a therapist or a coach trying to run a business for free, all it's going to mean is your savings will dwindle, your resources will dwindle. Now you've got to go get a 9-to-5 job to support a business that you should have been charging for in the first place. So guys, that's my horror story. Hope you don't have one similar. Hopefully you don't have to go through what I went through as a therapist or a coach. Start charging for your sessions immediately. That is my biggest advice for today. So guys, that's all from me for today. Make sure you give this video a like, and I'll see you on the next video in the next couple of days. Bye for now.